Lead and Empower Her with Dr. Julie Ducharme, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Lead and Empower Her with Dr. Julie Ducharme is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Dr. Julie Ducharme.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Ducharme, back for another episode of She CEO. This is a podcast where we talk to amazing women around the world about how they're working in their jobs and in their positions and in their companies that they own. And I love this because I get to talk to women literally everywhere about amazing things that are happening and find out tips and other stories. So today I'm really excited to have Vanessa Raymond on our show. Vanessa is a seasoned international speaker, author, confidence and success coach, as well as a multiple business owner, and professionally performing on stages around the world for 2 decades and running her own beauty business. Vanessa pursued a career in the fitness and wellness industry, helping people improve their quality of life and becoming healthier and helping them reduce pain. Vanessa is a seasoned Pilates instructor, yoga teacher, and personal trainer, as well as fitness coordinator for Visa Corporate in Denver, Colorado. And Vanessa is also an educator and has created multiple CEC-approved education programs, and she recently sold one of her educational companies for a generous profit. And Vanessa has a long list of things we're going to talk about today, including the Achieve systems, which I've recently got to know. So Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. And, it's funny, we met through your Achieve systems, but I had no idea that you did all this stuff in fitness or that you had these different companies, which of course, that I played professional sports. And so I'm like, we need to talk about this whole fitness and pain thing here. That goes like hand in hand with my life. And so just, like every woman, you're multiply talented in a variety of things. I say we're not a one-trick pony. And so, as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, but not surprised because, this is what we do. So I'm really excited to chat about all things. I like to start out with us getting a little bit of the backstory, right? Like how in the world did you move from, becoming a speaker and author, owning multiple companies, the beauty industry, the health industry, and then of course your Achieve system. So I'd love for you to tell our listeners a bit about that story.
Yes. And the timeline is kind of all over the place. But basically, Julie and everyone listening, I'm from South Africa originally. If you noticed an accent, there's that. I've been in the United States now for 24 years. So, Americanized, have my family and my life here. But I started out in a very small industrial town in the tip of Africa. All I ever wanted to do was be a performer, be a dancer. I started ballet when I was 3 and did all the dance forms I could lay my hands on through the years. And then finally managed to go to college for musical theater. So I majored in musical theater, after which, while I was performing professionally, I also got my degree in beauty technology, as we call it in South Africa. And then, the fitness industry, fitness was always a part of my life as a dancer. My dad was a bodybuilder, so I kind of grew up in the gym, always went with him, worked out with him, pretended I was his trainer and counted out his reps, did all the things, healthy as water. So ever since I was about 8 years old, that was a big part of my life. So I always figured that would become something I would do later. But yes, so people always ask me, how did I end up in the US? I managed, after a very successful career in South Africa in the performance industry, always having the dream to be able to go to, Broadway or West End or do some of that. With it being very difficult to leave the country with visas and everything else, I managed to land a cruise ship contract. So I performed on a cruise ship for a year, where I met my ex-husband, who was American, and so that brought me here. But my journey from performance and fitness, so when I hit about 36, as you know, as athletes, we're like, okay, the body is tired. I really wanted a family. I wanted roots in the ground. I was traveling a lot for my performance career. And while I was doing that, I got all the fitness certifications. I did it kind of intermittently throughout my career. And I decided to start a fitness business. And I started a Pilates, and I did post-rehab and Pilates mostly. So I started a Pilates and personal training business in Las Vegas. And at that point is when I realized that I really don't know much about building a business, right? I mean, I've just been doing all these things, performing all over the world. I've been teaching Pilates classes at studios and doing things. And I had my beauty business, but that was kind of like also just a passion project. I never thought of it as me being an entrepreneur. I just did these things. And then when it came to me just running the business for the sake of it being my sole income, that's when I recognized, okay, I have no clue what I'm doing. So that is what led me to Achieve Systems, because I needed help. And I Googled, fitness business help, and up popped this organization who had a conference in Vegas at that time. And so I went to the conference, and that is also where I met Robert, who is, as we know now, my husband and my life. And now I'm a really integral part of Achieve on the leadership team, and also supporting the leaders here. So that's the big, long journey in a nutshell.
No, I love it. Well, and it's like, just in that story, I was learning so much about you when you were talking about being on the cruise ship and then performing, and your dad being in the world of fitness as well. And I always think it's so interesting. I was into sports, and my father was a really top athlete in high school, and then he went on to college to play some sports. And so I was reflecting, as you're mentioning that with your dad, I'm like thinking about how my dad built a basketball court at our house and a volleyball court. And, he was trying to do all these things to help us do that. And, I think that really, especially on the fitness side, the workout side, the discipline, I feel like that is a really huge part of entrepreneurship. So for when I transferred into, obviously, from playing sports into entrepreneurship like you, I felt like I was able to take a lot of those things, and I'm sure you did this as well in performing, right? Like that discipline of whether it was working out or maybe you're singing and the practice. And I find people like athletes, as well as veterans, military veterans, really transfer well into that type of industry. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. And Julie, I actually talk about that a lot when I speak and I share my story. The parallels between anything that we do in our lives that we excel in and entrepreneurship are so just glaring. As a dancer, I always equate, you're an athlete, the dancer is an athlete. Going from 3 years old, I danced my whole life. And in college specifically, it was a rough road. And if you did not have the self-discipline, the tenacity, you would never, in the performance industry, there's no making it work if you are not persistent. And if you cannot take no for an answer, if you can't take the rejection, you will not last in that industry. Because there's so much of that. And in entrepreneurship, we see that all the time. We hear no a lot when we are going through our marketing and our sales processes. And I think that is one of the big reasons why I was able to actually be successful in entrepreneurship, even though I really had no clue what I was doing in the beginning. Just that, repetition, number one. We all know that rehearsal, repetition. That's huge. And I think that's often something that entrepreneurs miss is, did you practice? Are you doing it again and again and again? And it is. So it is that tenacity. And then the discipline and the grit that we need to make it as entrepreneurs are definitely skills that I learned from a very young age in the dance studio. You know, there's this joke going around with the dance community. It's always like, okay, just one more. Let's do one more, and again, and one more, and let's do it again. Right. And that's how you become good at anything. And in entrepreneurship, we kind of sometimes think that, we make 5 phone calls. Why didn't we make 5 sales? Right. Or we had 5 discovery calls. Why aren't any of those interested? And then you have to go back and look, what are the statistics and how tenacious do we have to be to get to the results? And yes, so same with singing, same with acting, same with sports, same with playing the piano, same with anything that you excel in. We're not confident overnight. We have to work at it.
I agree with you. I mean, the repetition, and I feel like also as you with dance and me with sports, like when you were talking about, the rejection and the no, we build this really thick skin, right? Because I mean, there's so much rejection in entrepreneurship. There's so many failures, and I was talking this weekend to a group and I said, my failures led to my most epic successes because I had to fail in order to learn those lessons. And, what I think makes us unique, and this is kind of the woman side of this, the she CEO side of this is, as you were talking about wanting to have a family and roots, but then also you're incredibly talented and you have this passion, right, of these things you love to do. I want to shift to talking about the journey of being a mom and a wife and running multiple businesses. When I had my children, they were, and they still are, the love of my life. But I was like, I want to be this phenomenal mom, but I still want to do what I love. And it was a real challenge finding a balance of, those 2 roles. And so when you were shifting into that, how did you balance it? And maybe some tips for some of our younger women who are like, I have this career, but I really want to have my life, but like, where's the balance? Because I didn't have a lot of mentorship when that happened. And I wish I had had that.
Yes. So I was lucky that I grew up in a very stable home that gave me a lot of roots in the ground and made me confident in that idea of being able to balance all that. And I think as moms and entrepreneurs, we can be really relentless on ourselves. We are so self-critical of everything that we do. And then I had the advantage of being able to think back and look back. Both my parents worked full-time, and I think a lot of us had that. My mom was an entrepreneur. She ran her own business. There was always run, do, go. And I remember my mom having a conversation with me and saying to me, children are so adaptable and adjustable. If you give them quality time, that is all they need. Love, food in their tummies, a roof over their head, and real love, real quality time. And I think that is kind of what helped me, because me too, I mean, as moms, we all lay that little mommy guilt thing on ourselves. I'm always working, I'm so busy. And I think sometimes it's not really about balance. It's about finding harmony, because it's really difficult to always have a perfect balance. That perfect balance, I think, is an idealistic thing that creates extra tension and stress that we then inflict on ourselves. So as a mom, a wife, housekeeper, bookkeeper, we do everything, right? And an entrepreneur, I think it's very important for us to have grace for ourselves and also understand that our children are also watching and seeing that they can do it too, and they can achieve these things too. So even though we might not be spending the amount of time with them that might be ideal in our minds, as long as we make time for that's those special moments and that quality time. And I have a lot of respect for any mom who decides she wants to be a stay-at-home mom and, be with her children and do all that. I think that's a very personal choice. But for those of us who are in entrepreneurship and we are working and we're passionate about our work, I think there's a lot of lessons in that for our children to learn too. And to be able to look up to us and go, wow, look, my mom is doing all this. This gives me, she's such an example to me as to what I can achieve in my life. So for me, it's always been, I treasure the moments in my car with my son when I drive him to soccer practice, or, we're going out to dinner, because those are the times I have real conversations with him. At night before bed and in the mornings when they wake up. I think those are the things that we need to remember, is that when we have those opportunities, is to make the best of them. And then we can focus on the other side of that too. Of course, it's a tough thing to manage, but so many of us have done it. So many of us are doing it. And like I said, I'm lucky I had a role model. My mom did it, and we were lucky. My grandmother lived at home with us, so we had a live-in home, babysitter. But I think as women, we need to remember that it's okay. It's okay not to be there 24/7 for our kids, and it's okay not to be there for our businesses 24/7. I think time management is so huge when it comes to that. Being able to block your time and know what you're going to do when. Otherwise, overwhelm does set in.
No, and I love that you share the especially part that there's not a perfect balance, because I agree. And as you mentioned, the impact with kids, my kids have been with me. I shifted probably about 15 years to full-time entrepreneurship. And so that's right when I had my daughter, and then not too long after that, my son. And I remember having them in pack and plays and little swings while I was on conference calls, and they were riding with me and hearing those conversations. And of course, now my daughter, who's 15 and a half, almost 16, her and my son have a little business they've started together. They've published their own books. And they have such, I think, a really unique perspective on life, because, we've really instilled in them, that sky's the limit. And, you see mom and dad working really hard here, and, there's opportunities here. And a lot of times, like when I have to travel a lot or something, we'll sit down and go like, well, mom has to travel, but you know what, mom's making money, and that money is going to get you to Disney World, like kind of trying to get them to understand like how money's made and how we apply it and how that transfers. And, the kids get it. And like you said, they're very adaptable. I think that was my biggest worry, was, is this okay that I'm dragging them around with me to these meetings or these other things? And, they've always listened to these conversations since they're young kids. And so I just think that it's brought a really amazing perspective in. And like you, we try and do things that, we can't be together 24/7, like you said. And that's also unrealistic, and I think not mentally healthy for any mom, like to be with their,
Totally.
to be with them 24/7. That's not normal. But those moments of impact, like you said, and absolutely the drives in the car. My son just hit 13, and 13-year-old 7th grade boys don't have a lot to say. But when he does, it's great, because I can just sit there and listen and drive. Same thing with my daughter. And so I love that you shared that, because I think that as women, we're tough on ourselves, and, culture wants us to show perfection. And I'm like totally fine at this point in my life with messy and wonderful. That's how I have to kind of think about it. Like, this is messy, but you know what? It's wonderful, and we're having a great time, and it is what it is. Maybe my house isn't clean. Maybe the laundry's not done. Maybe we don't have this, but you know what? It's a moment for us. And so I love that you shared that, because I truly think I talk to so many women, and this is the struggle, right? How do I have a balance? How do I be a good mom? How do I be a good wife? Like, there's a study that says that we as women naturally take on 90% of the household responsibilities. It's just a cultural thing. It happens, right? And so you're like, okay, I'm got this 90%, even with wonderful husbands. I have a wonderful husband who's incredibly helpful with everything. It's just a natural thing that we do. And so, I love that the world is now adapting more to women being leaders and moms. Because in the past was you could be a leader, but you couldn't really be a mom and a leader. That was considered a weak point. Right. So I want to shift because you have something unique with your husband. I have something unique with my husband. I've been working with him side by side for about 15 years with our businesses. And I know you work with your husband side by side on the Achieve systems. So I'd love to dive into that a little bit of like what you guys are doing, how that came about, and all the fun info on that, because we'd love to encourage people to check out Achieve Systems because you guys have some really amazing things happening there as well.
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus? What I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. And download the book for absolutely free.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Yes. And coincidentally, I promised myself I'd never work with my husband again because, I did that before and that didn't work out great. But this time, I can honestly say that we are so complementary to each other. And from the beginning, we laid the boundaries and we know what our roles are. And we assist each other in pretty much everything. But we both are very aware of what our strengths and our weaknesses are. And we definitely do complement each other in that way. So that has been super helpful as far as being in that work environment together. On a more personal note, we also did put some things in place to make sure that, we definitely make some time for ourselves that's not business related, because as entrepreneurs, we take our work wherever we go. You know this, right? My laptop is in my trunk of my car. It goes everywhere. We get out at restaurants, we get out at Starbucks, we get out and the laptop comes with us. We pull it out, we work. But, very early on, we were like, okay, this is our cutoff time at night. Computers closed, phones closed, This is our family time. And we definitely make sure we do a lot of activities with family, uncles, aunts, and make sure we spend a lot of leisure time. So we always say we work hard and we play hard. So I think that's when you're working with your partner, you definitely have to make those times where you're not having the work discussions, where you're actually just being a couple. So I think that was number one. Achieve Systems, I just love what I'm doing here now. I'm really took ownership of being on the leadership team here at Achieve Systems. And really just as a quick nutshell background for everyone who's listening, Achieve Systems is a support and growth system for entrepreneurs and business owners. So we really focus on the entrepreneur, on the solopreneur, on the business owner, and how you can up level your business. And we have $50 million plus resources in place, as well as we do a lot of live and virtual events, and we have coaching systems in place and also our revenue stream systems. So I don't want to go into that too deeply, but that gives you kind of a nutshell of how we help our entrepreneurs.
I love that. And I'm just diving in to Achieve with you guys. I've been to one event, which was fantastic. And of course, when I signed up, I remember just getting your list of things and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much more that I didn't even realize that you guys had. And what I love about She Talks and us getting to partner with you all is, we focus on empowerment and education. And I love like not having to remake the wheel, right? Like why not partner with groups who already have those things in place? Like someone has a franchise thing, I can be like, Achieve does that. Like roll on over to them. They're a trusted partner. And I love that. Now, how did you guys end up getting into this? Was your husband already doing this when you got married, or did you guys build this from the bottom up?
Yes, Rob actually started this company in 1994. So he's been at this for a very, very long time. And as I mentioned, the way I met him was because I realized I needed help. And so I went to one of the Achieve Systems conferences. So the company was already very well established when I met Rob. And I literally just joined as a member, and I was using the resources. Achieve helped me create my CEC kettlebell certification program. And also at the time, I already had a self-image program, but Achieve helped me turn it into a certification program. So now I have my Victory Factor self-image coaching certification. So, so we the whole goal of Achieve and the part of Achieve that really attracted me was that whole concept of creating additional revenue streams in your business, and Achieve having all the systems in place for you to do that. I also subsequently authored my book with Achieve. You know, we have the Achieve Success magazine, which I initiated and started for Achieve, but now we have a magazine division. So if you're an entrepreneur, want to start their own magazine, we do that. We've helped entrepreneurs develop and invent products and bring it to market. You know, we have our podcasting division, our speaker division. And so it was just really such a great thing to dig into that. And then, of course, as I got more involved in the organization, and then Rob and I got into a relationship and we ended up getting married, I just became more and more enthralled with the idea of being there to support entrepreneurs. And as a confidence and success mentor, that is what I started doing for the entrepreneurs in the Achieve community. And so, you know, that's my business But now that's become such a part of leading the leadership team and leading the Achieve community, and that's how it is for all our leaders, and why we're excited to partner with She Talks, because we're always looking for resources for our entrepreneurs and business owners that can help them grow, help them get what they need. And so She Talks is a great resource for us, just like we are a great resource for you. And every leader in Achieve they all have their own special skill, which they get to implement as leaders in Achieve systems. So, you know, I literally organically, it wasn't really a one-day decision, and just organically moved into this role of just being in total partnership with Rob and growing this community, because I love this community. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but a lot of these people have become like family to us, and all these people are our friends. You know, these are the people we socialize with. These are the people we hang out with. We go, you know, bowling with, or we go to the park with, or we go out for dinner with and have parties with. So it's really become just a lifestyle for us.
And I love that, because I mean, She Talks, we talk about creating a sisterhood for women and, you know, championing each other, and we can remove the competition because there's so much out there that we can do together, you know, and we're stronger together. And I think that's so important, especially today, is that people are looking for community, I think, first and foremost. And if they can find a trusted community that can also help them, as we know, the entrepreneurship path is not easy. And, you know, one piece of advice could be life-changing. I had a client who he started a business and he got one deal, and it was an 8-figure deal. And then he sold his business after that, you know, and it was like, I thought, gosh, just imagine what we could do for people if they got that one deal, you know, and I always tell people about him and go, he just did one deal. That's all he needed to do, you know, and he did that one deal. And when that deal was done, then he retired from that. And I love it. And, you know, as we're coming to the end of the podcast, what are some tips? And I'm going to focus this one a little bit more on our women, but women who may be trying to, you know, start their own business, or they're balancing, you know, we all did the grind, right? Where we worked another job and built our businesses, and maybe we had a family too. But what are some tips that you could offer to the women who are aspiring to really get to where, you know, you're at right now?
Don't forget the joy in life. Don't forget the joy in what you do. For me, I think the reason I often have to reverse engineer my success, because I don't always know where it came from, because I feel like, and it's not like I've been born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or, you know, it's been none of that. But I think just having that resilience and not giving up, and keep chasing the dream, and make sure that when you do things, they are things that are in integrity and that are moving you forward. And I think action is really our best friend when it comes to entrepreneurship and keeping sane, right? There's a lot of pressures in our lives as women. And as long as you can take one step forward, one foot in front of the other every day, and you know you're moving ahead, it doesn't matter whether it's a minute step or a huge step. Just never stop learning, never stop dreaming, and never stop creating joy in your life while you're doing all the craziness. That's what's kept me motivated. And I would say just keep moving. Just keep moving. And also, we talk about self-care a lot, but remember, when you are moving and you're doing things for yourself and your business, which grows your character and you as a human, that's just as much self-care as taking a candlelit bath or going for a massage. Make sure you make time for all those things along the way, and have fun as you're doing it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important. I think it was Dick Van Dyke that wrote a book. He's in his 90s, but it was something to the sense of keep moving, and how he's kept his joy in his life and, stayed so agile at the age of 90. I remember him dancing on the stage for Disney on his 90th birthday, thinking, holy cow, this guy is in it. And he was saying that was one of the secrets to success, is to just keep moving. And I love that. It's so important. The last question I had for you is, as you reflect back on everything that's happened with you so far, if you could go back to your younger self and give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Well, I always say I have no regrets. I lived a life larger than I ever imagined I would live. The one thing I would say to myself is stop always asking for permission. I grew up in a culture, I don't know if it's my culture or whether it's just my upbringing or my home, but respect was huge, and respect is important. Always have respect, always listen, always be graceful, always have good manners. But it was also about being humble, and in being humble, I often questioned myself, and I often felt like I needed permission from someone to do the things I need to do. You are your own boss. Step into your power. Do the things you want to do. Yes, have the respect people around you, have the integrity, but don't wait for someone to give you permission to be the person who you are and to do the things that you want to do. Just take ownership.
But I really appreciate you coming on and sharing, your experiences and your heart and soul, because I think as women, and I look at my daughter who's, an aspiring entrepreneur at heart, to hear where we've gone and what we've done and the expectations. And I love that you talk about not asking for permission, but in a good way. I think very often women absolutely wait too long because they're waiting for someone to give them permission. And we really do have to move. I look back on things myself and I go, gosh, I wish I would have not waited on that. I wish I wouldn't have been so timid. I wish I would have just stepped out and gone for it. But, failure is a real fear. And I think as often, I'm a calculated risk taker, and that's sometimes paid off for me and sometimes not, because I've missed out on opportunities. Finally, we want to touch base on what's happening and how people can get involved with Achieve. So what's coming up next?
Oh, Julie, we have our amazing Achieve Biz Explosion conference coming up. So anyone who wants to come and visit us in Denver, or who are here in the greater Denver area or close by, October 25th and 26th is our Achieve Biz Explosion conference. Please let us know if you want more information. I'm sure Julie can share that with you via the podcast. And or you can go to achievebizconferences.com to get registered and come see us. And yes, if anyone is interested in finding out more information about Achieve, you can just also go to achievesystemspro.com, and you can schedule a call with me or any of our leaders right there from the website. And I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm going to be at that. So we'll make sure to put all those links in the podcast. Of course, you guys can message me. I'm sure they can find you as well on LinkedIn, Vanessa too. I know sometimes people work through LinkedIn, but either way, if you get a message to me, we'll make sure that you guys are connected with Vanessa and her team, and you should definitely pop in and check it out. I went to the first one I went to, and it was just an amazing experience with really amazing people. So thank you so much for being on the show. And as I always say, live, love, laugh, and always be your authentic self.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
Thanks for listening to Lead and Empower Her with your host, Dr. Julie Ducharme. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God, it's beautiful.